Your training program can make or break your physique progress. You could be putting in hours at the gym pushing through sets, but if you're not using the right exercises that work best for you and your current goal, you're leaving gains on the table. Building your best physique doesn't mean just walking into the gym, lifting some weights, doing what you feel like doing that day. It's more about selecting the most effective exercises that will work specifically for you in the right order and structuring your training blocks for maximum results. In this video, I'm going to show you the science of exercise selection, the best exercises to build muscle strength and aesthetics, how to balance compound and isolation movements, when to use machines versus free weights and why, and key things for faster progress in all of this. By the end, you'll have a clear game plan to take your training and your physique to the next level. Movement selection is not just about cramming every movement you've ever seen into your program. It's about selecting those exercises that fit your goals, your anatomy, your training style, your preferences, and your training history over time, and then sticking with those long enough to make serious progress. So what makes an exercise great? Let's break it down into 6 essential criteria: versatility, loadability, stability, efficiency, range of motion, and, believe it or not, your personal preference. Number 1 is versatility. Great exercises adapt to your anatomy and are accessible in most gyms, or even at home. Movements like dumbbell presses, pull-ups, and barbell squats allow for adjustments like grip and angle to fit your structure, making them reliable staples. Number 2 is loadability. The best exercises allow for progressive overload for long periods of time, meaning you can consistently add weight and or resistance over time. Free weights, plate-loaded machines, and some selectorized equipment excel here. Compare this with movements like dumbbell lateral raises, which are effective but harder to load heavily due to their smaller muscle focus, but also other limitations like your wrists. Number 3 is stability. While machines and chest-supported rows provide external stability and reduce fatigue typically, free weights can be just as effective once your body acclimates to their demands. Most gym exercises already meet the stability threshold for hypertrophy, so don't dismiss free weights just because they're slightly less stable. Number 4 is efficiency. Efficient exercises recruit multiple muscle groups and motor units at once. For example, squats target quads, glutes, and core, while pull-ups hit lats, traps, and biceps. These compound movements are the foundation of any effective program, with isolation exercises serving as complementary tools to them. Number 5 is range of motion. Choose exercises that take muscles through a large range of motion, including a deep stretch and a strong contraction. Romanian deadlifts, for example, provide a deep hamstring and glute stretch, while incline dumbbell curls fully stretch and contract the biceps. Keep in mind that half-repping limits growth potential. Prioritizing proper mechanics and full execution is key. Number 6 is preference and enjoyment. You're more likely to stay consistent with movements you enjoy, whether it's a barbell bench press or a machine chest press. Pick exercises that feel good for you. Avoid forcing yourself into the optimal movements that don't necessarily suit your body or your training style. Now that we understand criteria by which we can judge effective movements that will make up the foundation of your training and physique, let's now dive into the exercises and potential variations of them, as well as how to structure them into your training. Compound movements are the cornerstone of building an impressive physique. These big lifts target multiple muscle groups and allow you to move more serious weight and are essential for long-term progress. Let's break them down. First, we have upper body push movements, which focus on the chest, shoulders, and triceps primarily. The essentials here are the barbell bench press, dumbbell bench press, and the overhead presses. For variety, incline bench presses emphasize the upper chest and shoulders, while decline presses might target the lower chest more. Smith machine presses and machine chest or shoulder presses provide more stability, letting you focus purely on the pressing action. And let's not overlook weighted dips. They are a versatile movement that target both the chest and the triceps effectively as well. Next are upper body pull movements, which build the lats, traps, teres major, rear delts, and bicep muscles. Pull-ups, either weighted or bodyweight, are ultra effective for back development. Barbell and dumbbell rows are other potential staples that can be adjusted with different grips to hit traps, lats, or rear delts a little bit more. If pull-ups are too challenging, of course, lat pull-downs are an excellent alternative. Some may argue a better one, but again, that comes down to preference and other mechanics. Cable rows and chest-supported rows minimize lower back strain and allow for precise targeting of the back muscles instead. Grip variations are key in your pulling movements. Wide overhand grip, for example, emphasize the traps and the rear delts more. Closer grips target the lats and the teres major more. And underhand grips can bring the biceps more into play. Now for the lower body, squat patterns are crucial for quad and glute development. Barbell back squats are the classic quad mass builder. Bulgarian split squats also hit the quads and glutes hard while addressing unilateral strength imbalances. Leg presses are a great and joint-friendly, highly stable alternative that focus on the quads a lot. That focus primarily on the quads. Depending on how you execute it, it could be a little more glutes too. Hack squats and pendulum squats provide excellent stability and allow for deep quad engagement, though they may not be available at every gym. Front squats shift more emphasis onto the quads, but require even greater stability and core strength demands. Finally, we have hip hinge movements, which target the glutes, hamstrings, and lower back primarily. Romanian deadlifts or stiff-legged deadlifts are standout options, offering a deep stretch for the hamstrings and glutes with less fatigue than conventional deadlifts. Speaking of conventional deadlifts, they are still a solid choice for overall strength, though not always best for pure hypertrophy purposes. Barbell hip thrusts are excellent for glute development, with machine hip thrusts and glute back extensions offering similar benefits with, again, a little bit more stability and an easier setup. Don't forget good mornings, by the way, a fantastic yet underrated movement for strengthening the lower back and hamstrings. These compound movements are your foundation. They are efficient, effective, and when structured properly, will form the bulk of your training program, driving the majority of your progress. Now, avoiding redundancy in your training is a critical step towards maximizing results. One of the most common mistakes I see is stacking similar movements in the same session. For example, pairing a flat barbell bench press with a flat dumbbell bench press hits the same muscle fibers in nearly identical ways. Similarly, barbell rows followed by cable rows, both with a wide grip, provide too much overlap in the same pulling angle, leading to diminishing returns of productive volume in that session. Instead, focus on variety within your training sessions. If you start with a barbell bench press, follow it up with an incline press of sorts or a vertical press movement to shift the angle and hit different muscle fibers. The same principle applies to back training. Pair vertical pulls like pull-ups, pull-downs with horizontal rows to engage your back from different angles and ultimately emphasize different muscle groups as well. On leg day, instead of combining standard Smith machine squats with immediately going to hack squats, consider pairing a hack squat with a Bulgarian split squat to target the quads and glutes in complementary ways. This approach ensures balanced development and keeps sessions stimulating. The way to think about redundancy is this movement training the exact same muscles in a similar fashion? If so, it's probably a redundant exercise. Avoiding redundancy enhances recovery and allows for more effective training sessions. It ensures that you're targeting different muscle fibers without overloading the same ones repeatedly, leading to more complete development across the board. Plus, keeps your workouts engaging, which helps sustain your motivation and focus. Another tip to elevate your results is rotating primary compound lifts throughout your split. For example, if you're training chest twice a week, don't start both sessions with the same press. In one session, you might begin with an incline Smith machine press, while the other could kick off with an incline dumbbell press. By rotating starting movement patterns, you'll maximize progressive overload across slightly different angles, ensuring a well-rounded stimulus for your muscle group. By the way, while compound lifts are designed to target larger muscle groups for the most part, certain variations can shift more emphasis to smaller muscle groups like the arms. For example, chin-ups or reverse grip pull-downs target biceps more directly while still working the back. Close grip bench presses are excellent for targeting the triceps while maintaining chest and shoulder involvement. These variations are great for giving your arms extra work without sacrificing the primary benefits of the compound lifts. That said, if your goal is to grow specific muscles like your biceps and triceps, isolation movements are your best bet. So let's dive into why these are essential for refining your physique. Isolation exercises are all about precision. They target specific muscles, allowing you to address weak points, refine details, and add the finishing touches to your physique. They also allow you to push a muscle group to failure without involving other areas, risking more systemic fatigue. The basic isolations and their variations include for biceps, dumbbell curls, cable curls, preacher curls, and incline curls are all great for hitting the biceps from different angles. Triceps, cable pushdowns, overhead extensions, and skull crushers are classics for fully engaging the triceps in different ways. Shoulders, lateral raise variations including cables and machines, as well as rear delt fly variations that help create the round 3D look for your delts. Legs, seated and lying leg curls target the hamstrings specifically. Leg extensions will hit more of the rectus femoris quad muscle along with the rest of the quads in isolation, and standing calf raises are going to hit those tiny calves of yours. Back, straight arm pull downs, face pulls, and reverse pec deck flies can isolate those key areas of the back like the traps a little bit more as well. Chest, cable flies, and dumbbell flies can provide excellent finishing touches to chest development. Abs, leg raises, cable crunches effectively engage and build the abs. For forearms, wrist curls, reverse wrist curls, and maybe we can throw hammer curls in there to round out the grip and forearm development. The key to effective programming lies in balance. Compound lifts are the foundation. They build the majority of your size and strength. Isolation movements refine the details, address weak points, and enhance symmetry. Together, they create a program that is not only effective, but also well-rounded and sustainable. If you're ready to take your programming to the next level and you want my personal guidance to fast-track your results, make sure to check out the Modern Physique Hub linked in the description below. Let's settle the debate. Machines versus free weights. The truth is neither is inherently better. It's all about how you use them. Free weights with barbells and dumbbells are incredibly versatile. They adapt to your anatomy and mechanics, making them accessible and highly loadable over long periods. That's why they're typically staples for building strength and muscle across the board. While they do engage, stabilize our muscles, let's be real. Your goal is to grow the target muscles, not get some eased stabilizers. And by the way, stability demands do diminish as your body adapts, so free weights remain highly effective. Machines, meanwhile, are praised for their stability and ease of use. They let you focus entirely on the target muscle, often with better resistance profiles in many cases. Think of a pec deck or a lateral raise machine, which keep tension on the muscle throughout the entire range of motion, something that the free weights in those instances don't always do as well. However, machines do lack versatility. They may not fit your anatomy, and they can max out a loadability quite early on, which could be disappointing. The bottom line, both machines and free weights are excellent tools. Free weights offer unmatched adaptability and long-term progression, while machines excel in simplicity and precision. Use both strategically based on your goals and preferences. Personally, after years of barbell squats that built my quads massively, I have been loving the pendulum and hack squats lately, as I'm lucky enough to have two good ones of those machines. But for chest, free weights like dumbbell presses still reign supreme for me. Experiment with both to find what works best for you and your body. You'll never discover your ideal movements by sticking rigidly to just one or by reading a few studies. So now you've got the exercises, how should you structure a workout to get the best result? It really depends how much time you have, your focus for the session, and your overall workout split. And by the way, if you want a detailed breakdown of splits, check out my full video on the topic. But generally, a well-structured session looks something like this. Begin each workout with your heavy multi-joint lifts, the compounds. These exercises like squats, bench presses, the pull-ups, all the stuff we discussed are the backbone of the training and should be performed when your energy and focus are at their peak, i.e. at the start of the session. These movements allow for maximum muscle fiber recruitment and set the tone for the rest of your session. Once your compounds are done, move into isolation movements to fine-tune the specific muscle groups that you're targeting that day. For example, you might follow your bench press up with some lateral raises for a little more shoulder detail, or add tricep extensions after your presses to provide further stimulus if you're trying to bring up the triceps a little bit more. The number of isolation exercises will depend on how much time you have and your focus for the session, your fatigue levels after the heavier lifts as well. If you have a muscle group that really needs extra attention, consider starting your session with an isolation movement for that area. For example, if your calves are lagging, and let's be honest, they probably are, you can start your leg day with something like standing calf raises before moving into your main squat pattern. This ensures the weak point gets hit very hard without interfering too much on those primary compounds, as that isolation movement should be very low in overall fatigue. The structure of your session should complement your overall split, whether you're on an upper-lower split, push-pull legs, or something else entirely. Your session's flow should align with the bigger plan. Ultimately, a great training session is one that respects the principle of specificity and thus prioritizes the movements that targets the most important muscle groups of the session and of the block first, and it keeps things as productive as possible throughout the entirety of that session. Even with knowing all that you do now on exercise selection, certain mistakes can hold you back. Here are the most common ones to keep in mind so you don't make all of these mistakes everyone else currently is making. Number one is poor form. Using bad form not only limits progress but increases your risk of injury. Film your lifts to catch mistakes, adjust your technique, and ensure quality reps every time. Don't let ego lifting steal your gains. To this day, 15 years in, I'm still open to making tweaks that can help me squeeze a little bit more out of every movement. Yes, I will reiterate this again, machines are great, but avoiding free weights entirely is a mistake long term. Barbells and dumbbells truly cannot be entirely replaced. Experiment with these and the machines to find what works best for you in different areas. Free weights are not inferior. In many cases, they could be superior for you. Number three is skipping workout tracking. If you're not tracking your sessions, you're guessing. Log your weights, reps, and progress consistently. Without tracking, it's nearly impossible to ensure the fastest possible progressive overload or identify areas of improvement. Look, select the best exercises, the best order possible, and even the best split. If you aren't tracking, you're leaving massive gains on the table. Number four is sticking to ineffective exercises. Not every movement works for everyone. If an exercise doesn't feel effective or align with your biomechanics, swap it out. Experiment until you find movements that hit the target muscles well, and then focus on progressing on those over longer periods of time, multiple training blocks. That's right, mind-muscle connection isn't completely pointless for this very reason. So you now have this crucial piece of the puzzle to help you build a program that will take your physique to the next level. Remember, building a great physique isn't about doing fancy exercises, chasing trends. It's about mastering the basics, staying consistent, and pushing yourself to improve over time. Think about it. The best physiques on the planet are not doing something crazy or new. They are just better at the basics, and they do them better, more consistently than everybody else. The real secret is showing up every day, training with purpose, staying consistent, and loving every step of the process. And for those of you who do, I'll see you at the top.